Greetings people, this is one of the Morley fantasias in two parts. This is Il Grillo, the cricket or the grasshopper. So a nice cheerful lively theme. We're doing it at its original pitch, so for treble and tenor viol we're going to look at the tenor part. Back bow I think, don't you? Let's have a go. 3, 4, 1, 2. Stopping there for a second just before I forget all the things that I thought about to tell you along the way. So back bow at the top. I think you could use most of the bow, couldn't you, in that first note? But it's an upbeat, so not too strong. Wonder about playing the A on the F string rather than across there. Don't know, personal taste. I would definitely shorten the two crotchets at the end of that bar though. It's a grasshopper after all. Lots of four fingers in bar 3. The quavers come really nicely at the tip. I think there's a challenge in here you need a decent sound in your quavers. So if you use tiny bows, that's not going to work, is it? But if you use, it's going to get really untidy. So just think about keeping them near the tip, but using enough bow to get a decent quality sound. Making sure that that finger, the middle finger on your bowing hand that's on the hair, is properly connected to the string. I think, especially if we're going to play this at speed, it's tempting to think, oh, it's quavers, it's really quick, I haven't got time to make the string speak. And that's nonsense. If you don't do it, you just get that kind of skating sound. So you have to really make sure that that finger is working to get a decent sound in your quavers. Straight up to a fourth finger. And then hold the 4 down at the top while you cross over for the bottom G in bar 4. Now I would tuck an extra back bow in here. I'd do it almost imperceptibly. I don't think I wouldn't separate them. I think I would just try and hide it as best you can. Not that I think it's okay to phrase in there, but I'm not looking for two really clearly separated notes. I just want the quavers the right way round. At the end of 5, really important to leave your first finger on that bottom D while your bow goes looking for the A string. And then back into first position, I think, for this back bow, but not a really long one, it's a tiny little upbeat. Now there's some illegal fingering going on in here in bar 7 because after that C, my natural inclination would be to play the F with a 3, but I just don't want the top string. It sticks out a bit, so what I settled on in the end was to tail that away, the C in the middle of 7, and actually pick my second finger up and move it across the string. I would never ever do that usually. But short of growing an extra finger on the end of this hand to play the G with, I thought it was preferable to that. So an illegal hop in the middle of 7. Just hope nobody's looking. From the top then, here we go. 3, 4. Hold this down. just looking for as many opportunities as I can to make crotchets lift a little bit. So the beginning of 7, when they're at a repeated pitch. But equally, when they fall by a jump, I think it's nice to make them short. But then perhaps when they're adjacent, and that just does you a really nice phrasing, doesn't it? Even at the beginning, 3 smooth ones, but then make those short. It just keeps things on its toes a bit, I think, if you have that as your default position. And then if there's one that you particularly don't like that way, then change it when we get there. Let's go on. This is bar 8, after the crotchet rest, so after 3. 1, 2, 3. Just going to stop there a second because this is a new thing going on. So in 8, we want to start it on a back bow. They're quite small crotchets, I think they can be quite near the tip. You don't need, oh, I'm going to start a back bow, I'll start it down here. You don't need the whole lot. I'm in first position, just reaching back for the B flat in bar 9. Because I think I'm going to want my 4 in a minute. You could play that in half position, couldn't you? In 9, that would be okay. But in 10, I would put the top G on a 4, another back bow, and fingering wise on a 4th finger. And in here for the bow, I would think of the quaver as belonging to the next dotted crotchet. So it goes, and then, obviously that's an exaggeration and you can't take that much time in real life, but I think just in terms of phrasing, we spend a lot of time in the viol department saying, oh, it's a really vocal line, don't cut the dots short, play right through and make it really melodic. And actually I think in here, your job is to sound like a cricket or a grasshopper. There's a certain amount of hopping going on, and I think you can characterise that. So this is 10. Make a feature of it. These quavers come backwards. I would live with it just because it's too much of a faff to correct it. But then in the middle of 11, I really would correct this. The top note could be another back bow, couldn't it? And a 4 for the G at the end of the phrase in 12. And it will bring you, we'll go on in a second, bring you out really nicely at the tip for the new phrase at the end of bar 12. Let's go from the middle of 8 together. I did this, as I say, in first position, and I reached back for the B flat. After 3, back bow. 1, 2, 3. Fourth finger. Now if we go on, look, we're right at the tip. Just for a second. This is quite nippy, certainly from a bowing point of view. So I'm in the middle of bar 12 where the dotted rhythm starts at the bottom. First of all, I think you just leave your 4th finger on the G at the top. Buys you a bit of time for getting down here with the bow. Hopefully you'll be right at the tip. And again, I would attach the quaver to the next dotted crotchet. So the G, and then and I think it's nice in the middle of 13 when you arrive on the D to not cut that one short. So you've had a whole bunch that, but this one, instead of, I think it's nice if that goes through. There's some nippy fingering in this next bit, so I'll just slow it down a bit. This is the upbeat to 14. We're in first position. We're going to bar at the beginning of 14. And I would put the A with a third finger. Just takes out one string cross. So you bar the first pair of quavers, 3 for the A. Then it's a chordal fingering, isn't it? C up to F. The C should still be there when you come back to it in 14. So you chordal finger that, and then look, the C is still there. And your fourth finger is hanging about, ready to play that D. Again, just minimising the amount of string crossing in there. 4 I would do again in 15. And then the fingering is okay. 14 is quite nippy bowing wise as well. It starts on a back bow, the upbeat to 14. And it bows out really nicely. I wouldn't bother with any tucking or correcting anywhere. I'd keep it really small and really tidy. And I think it's fun if you make the quavers quite short. So what am I doing? I'm playing them with this finger, I think. The finger that's on the hair of the bow. I'm kind of plucking the string, but I'm plucking it from out here somewhere. Rather than shall we try it? I think we'll do it a little bit under speed, and we'll go from the end of 12, where the dotted crotchet rhythm starts. So it'll be after 3, and hopefully you'll be right at the tip. 1, 2, 3. Shall we do that again? Similar things are going to appear later on as well. This is bar 12, starting from the dotted rhythm towards the end after 3. 1, 2, 3. In here, so the last crotchet with 16 is going to be a back bow. And here we go again with all these dots. Should we stop there just a second? So things to think about in there. The last note of 16 needs to be a back bow to sort the bowing out, otherwise you're going to be wrong forevermore. So an extra little back bow at the end of 16. Don't forget to hold the G down when you cross over in the middle of 17. It's such a good interval, isn't it, that? Now you need to move back. So 3 on the C, 2 on the G, because you need this chap here left for the B flat in the next bar. And if you're not careful, you'll get there and realise you're a finger short. So I would come back on the C at the end of 17. Third finger, second for the G. And now we're in half position for the B flats. Then I go back up again, I think. Second finger on this C, right at the tip of the bow. Chordal fingering in 19. And I'm in first position because I want a 4 on that G at the end of the bar. And it all fits really nicely. And we're at the tip, ready to start the next dotted rhythm. Let's go from the end of 16, shall we? The final crotchet of 16. 3 and 4 and 1. there's quite a lot to think about in here. So this is 20. At the beginning of 20, the first G that you play in the middle of that bar is the end of this, isn't it? And then the dotted one is the start of that same sequence of dotted rhythm again. So I would make the first one pretty much disappear, but give the second one, the dotted one, really quite a bit of front to it, especially because you're off the beat, and look at the treble player who's on the beat. So the whole point of these dotty sections, all of them, is that one player is on the beat and one player is off, and the kind of spikier you make that, the more fun it is to hear the two parts play against each other. So you need a certain amount of ping on each of those dotted notes. There's a risk though, here and as we go further through, that if you're not careful, you're going to run out of bow. So ping, but not lots of speed. Fingering is alright, isn't it, in there? We're just in first position and it just kind of fits. The middle of 22, there's another where that first D needs to be a really short, gentle ending, that the next one needs a bit of a front to it. You can help yourself by making this minim nice and full, and then the D very weak by comparison. That's in 22. Strong, weak, and then plenty of front. And then this is easily missed, and if you're playing from the edition that I'm playing from, the Natalie Dolmetsch one, because of where these notes are across the line, you can easily miss that the last note of 22, you need to bar it, because in the next bar there's a G, but it's on the next line, so it's quite easy to miss that. The last crotchet of 22, it's a first finger, but bar it across to the G for the next bar. I'd play this D on a 4 at the end of 23, just because it's a bit awkward to come back, and so start it on a 4, but then open string because you're on your way up. Some of these quavers are backwards. It's a bit of an interference to correct it, I think. So I would wait until halfway through 25, after the dotted crotchet. Let's have another back bow. Did you get that? That's after the dotted crotchet in 25. The next quaver I would put on a back bow, so that this all comes out the right way round. It's a shame to have that backwards, I think. Shall we play together from, I can't remember where we were. Oh, we were in 20, weren't we? 20, from the dotted crotchet in 20. So it would be in after 3. It's a forward bow, it's a 4th finger, and it's going to have a bit of ping, but it's not going to use lots of bow. 1, 2, 3. Just before we go on, there are loads of places in here where you need to really vary the amount of bow that you use per note. So places like 21, where there's a great rising scale, and then what goes up must come down. So you've got to work harder as you go up that scale, and be really pleased to see the G at the top. And then you've got something to come away from, haven't you, in the middle of that bar. And then start again. And then here. I'm maybe exaggerating exaggerating a bit, but you get the idea that you can't just have a kind of standard length of bow for a quaver, otherwise it just sounds very square. All the right notes in all the right places, but it just doesn't say anything. So there's a good variety in here, good chance to use lots and lots of different amounts of bow. Shall we just do that again? 20, starting on the dotted crotchet G in the middle of the bar after 3. 1, 2, 3. Lots of that last section is just stuff that we've seen before, isn't it? One thing to think about bowing wise, in 26, there's a forward bow on that top G, but I think it's crucial that the bottom one comes that way round. There are two ways of solving that. The first is to just put another forward bow here, and the other, especially if you've travelled and you're a bit too near the heel, you could start it back and tuck here. Does that make sense? If you got a bit enthusiastic at the end of 25 and you're in the final 4 quavers and you've ended up down this end of the bow, you can't really retake, there just isn't time, but you also can't carry on a forward bow because you've got nothing left. So you could put a back bow in the middle of the bar and then tuck another one where we said we were going to have a bit of a breath anyway. We've got time, haven't we, in there to hide that. The alternative is to be slightly less enthusiastic at the end of 25. I mean equally enthusiastic, just by using less bow. And then put another forward bow in there. Just see what happens. It might depend on where you've ended up at the start of 26 as to what you decide to do. I think I'm quite likely to have got a bit carried away in there. So the 2 back bows are my most likely choice, I think, but up to you. The next section is just a complete repeat, isn't it, of what we've had before. And then at the end of 30, I think it's nice to put another back bow on the final crotchet of 30. You are basically in charge of the ending as the tenor player. There's much more going on in your part than there is in the treble, who is just going to fit with you. So you need to kind of make that final statement, I think, that says this is the end coming up. And if we miss the last crotchet of 30, I think the end will just come as a bit of a surprise. The risk is here, if you're not careful. So just look out for the penultimate crotchet. It's going to come on a forward bow, but you need to not let him stick out. How about we play some of that together? This is 26 from, actually no, let's go before it. Let's go from the last 4 quavers of 25 and practice the tuck in 26. I'm going to take it slightly under speed again because it's just a bit nippy, this bit, isn't it? After 3 then, final 4 quavers of 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Should we play the whole thing through? Let's do it just slightly under speed so there's time to think about everything. I'll count your whole bar in just so that we get that new speed in mind. What's going to be sensible for this? That kind of speed. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So that's the tenor cricket. Shall I play the treble cricket and we'll do it together? Here comes the treble cricket then, and I start, so I don't even need to count you in. I think we'll do this twice and we'll do it at 2 different speeds. So here comes the safe version. See you at the end. here comes the slightly less safe version. Good luck.